So today I want to show you my progress. I want to show you how far we've come. The Shanks versus Kaido fight. Today we're going to focus on the next scene. Last time we focused on Kaido and Shanks clashing to make a HAKI explosion. The next scene we're going to focus on is them in the clouds fighting amongst each other. Now I want to work on the clouds in the background so it has like this little 3D effect. I want my backgrounds to have some type of motion. I want movement. I want smooth animation. That's what I'm going for, at least. In the parts where the background isn't moving, I still want some kind of movement. So I'm gonna add some colors in there to just make the watcher still feel something. So it doesn't feel like there's nothing happening, you know? So yeah, let's get into it. So after the HAKI explosion, the next scene is the same scene just from above the clouds. If you look carefully, in the previous scene, you can see a ring of clouds surrounding the HAKI explosion. This scene we're working on right now is the next scene just from above the clouds, hence the big ring. And if I zoom in the middle, you can see Kaido and Shanks right there. Now, the next thing I want to do is I want to choose a color for the background. I was going to go with black, but I realized I wanted some color, at least just a little hint of color in my background. So I chose a dark blue. Then I was about to choose a color for the sea, and I made the mistake to choose a very bright pastel blue, which doesn't work unless there's light above the sea or it's daylight. But because the fight is taking place at night, I had to make the sea a darker color, which will make more sense than if it was a pastel blue. Now, over here, I've decided to make the cloud, the rain cloud, a dark shade of blue, a blue darker than the blue of the background and the sea. Just dark enough that you can tell the difference between the background and the sea and the clouds. And then on the inner side of the cloud, I'm going to make that brighter. That's because the light coming from Shanks and Kaido will reflect on the inner side of the cloud, if you think about it. So the inside of the cloud doesn't necessarily need to be purple or red to represent Shanks or Kaido's light. The cloud just needs to be bright enough, just to show that it's absorbing the light emitting from Kaido and Shanks. So after I finished coloring, I did not like the way the sea looked so plain. So I chose the airbrush tool and I just dabbed a few blue here and there, a darker shade of blue, just so that the sea can have some depth. Because with the plain blue, it looks so, well, there's no other word to explain it other than plain. It looks so plain. So I'm gonna like swash some dark blues here and there just to give the sea some depth. I still did not like the way the sea looked, so I chose the pen tool. I reduced the opacity. Is that how you pronounce that? Opacity? Yeah, I reduced the opacity, so when I swashed over the sea, the color wouldn't be too strong. It would just be dark enough. Just enough. I guess what I was going for was a more mellow look to the sea, not so bright or dark, and I think I found the look that I'm looking for. So now that I'm done with that, I'm actually going to draw a cloud. I'm going to use the cloud as a way to transition into a different area with more clouds. Now, unfortunately, I've recorded the second video, which is this video, in super speed. I think it's called time lapse on iPhone. Yeah. But in this section, I basically just draw the clouds and how I imagine it in my head. Unfortunately, it's going way too fast for you to grasp what I'm actually doing. However, the next clip I'm about to play is a lot slower, so I'll be able to describe what I've done so far and explain what I'm going to do next. So I started by drawing these small clouds that were going to lead into a bigger cumulonimbus cloud. These are the type of clouds you get during storms, and in the lore of One Piece, dragons attract storms. So it only makes sense to add these huge cumulonimbus clouds that cover the entire sky. Now, if you watch closely, the fight takes place inside a cloud. It transitions from the circular cloud that I made earlier into the huge storm cloud. Now, inside the cloud, Kaido does a blast breath, which brightens up the cloud on the inside. The shape of the blast breath is a cone shape. So the wider it gets, the brighter the inside of the cloud gets as well, because there's more energy being put forward. You can see how the light originates from around Kaido, then crawls towards Shanks. If you look carefully, I used the curvature of the sea to make a transition. Now, while they were in the clouds, I wasn't sure how I was going to transition from the sea to the clouds without showing the sea below. So I used the clouds to curve with the sea and then eventually cover up the entire sea. Now that I'm done drawing the clouds, I actually took the opportunity to add in some lightning effects, some HAKI effects. If you look at Shanks' hand in a little bit, you're going to see that the HAKI goes from his shoulder into his forearm, into the sword itself. It's just a little way, these little things, just to show him channeling his HAKI. And I'm going to show you the final product. Well, it's obviously not the final product, but what I've done so far. Here we go.